Thanks, Drew. Tonight on After Dark, Dr. Martin McNeil on trial for the murder of his wife. And who does the state want to put on the stand to testify against him? His own daughters, including his youngest daughter, Ada, who was just 6 when she found her mother dead in the bathtub. Our bold question: was Ada part of Dr. McNeil's murder plot? Our jury is seated and ready to hear from young Ada and is ready to go to our recreated death scene just outside of our studio right now on After Dark.
Home from school and I went to go look for my mom.
Do you remember the last time you saw your mom?
When she was in the bathtub.
She was in the bathtub? What?
She started to cry and she looked at me and said, "Alexis, if anything happens to me, make sure it wasn't your father."
Prosecutors say McNeil convinced his wife to have plastic surgery against her wishes.
The dark secrets.
8 days after her surgery, Michelle McNeil was dead.
Prosecutors allege she was drugged and drowned, a murder plot so Dr. McNeil could continue an affair with this woman, Gypsy Willis.
A double life and a mistress named Gypsy.
Within 2 weeks of Michelle McNeil's death, Gypsy moves into the McNeil home as the new nanny.
He told me that he found the perfect nanny. Her name is Gypsy. At first, we're like, is this a stripper?
This woman, Gypsy Willis.
Now the doctor is on trial.
Adamantly professed his innocence from the beginning.
What will the jury decide?
Okay, do not take...
Tonight's bold question: was Ada part of Dr. McNeil's murder plot? She was just 6 years old when she discovered her mother dead in the bathtub. She's now 12 years old and will be in court tomorrow. Her testimony, crucial for the prosecution, but the defense says it is not reliable. Did Dr. McNeil use her as a pawn in his alleged murder plot? Brian Smith is standing by with our in-studio jury who will give us an answer with their verdict this hour. The After Dark prosecution is here, and they say yes, young Ada was part of the doctor's plot, but the defense says no, Ada was not part of any murder plot, and there's no evidence of any murder. Special guest joining us tonight in Provo, Utah, HLN correspondent Gene Casares. In New York tonight, former member of the Casey Anthony defense team, our trial insider, Linda Kenny Bodden. Plus, a special appearance by our own Nancy Grace, here to tell us what she thinks about our bold question. And we begin with the young girl who may be the state's most important potential witness, Dr. McNeil's youngest daughter, Ada.
Well, I got home from school and I went to go look for my mom and I went into her room in the bathroom and I found her.
Do you normally come home and directly go to try to find your mom?
If she doesn't pick me up, yeah.
On this day, your dad picked you up at school?
Yes.
Do you remember what she looked like when she was in the bathtub? Was she sitting down or lying down? Or?
She was lying down.
How much water was in the tub?
About, not covering her face, so about, right here by her ear.
Did she have a top on?
Yeah.
Okay, what about bottoms?
Yes.
Do you remember seeing her eyes?
Yeah. They were open.
What did you do after you saw your mom in the tub?
Went to go get my dad.
And you said he was in the kitchen?
Yeah.
You said you pulled him along?
Yeah.
And where did you pull him to?
Bathroom.
Do you remember what happened next?
He told me to call 911.
And when you came back in to the bathroom, what was your dad doing?
Trying to pull my mom out.
Then you went next door to get help?
Yeah, after he told me to.
Young Ada scheduled to be in court tomorrow, a huge day, but today was a big day, another dramatic day out in Provo, Utah. That's where Gene Casares joins us right now. Gene, a lot of things happened today, a lot of witnesses on and off that witness stand. From your perspective, because you're there, you're at the courthouse, what was the biggest moment of the day?
You know, the emergency room physician took the stand today to say that they heard a cardiac arrest was coming in, a 50-year-old female, and so when Michelle arrived, he said she was flatlined. He said that they tried everything. They tried drugs, epinephrine, the sodium benzoate they tried to jar her heart along with the cardiac measures. But all of a sudden, in the trauma center, the defendant walked up to the emergency room physician and made him an offer.
He made an odd request of me, which I still find to be, in 15 years of practice, completely unusual and really kind of off the wall.
What was that request?
He offered me $10,000 to continue my resuscitation and not quit.
Why was that odd to you?
I'm not sure how to answer that question, just that I'm not sure where that came from or why he would make that offer. I think as a physician, he probably knew that his wife was already dead.
And Dr. Scott Van Wagner also said, Vinny, that the doctor kept saying, why did she have that surgery? Why did she do it? We know he said it at the house. Now he's repeating that statement at the hospital.
You know, Gene, everyone's watching the coverage of the trial all day long on HLN from noon to 7 each night. But our cameras don't show everything that happens in the courtroom, at the courthouse. Tell us something that our cameras didn't pick up today, Gene.
You know, I watched the jury, Vinny. I really watched them. They are so close to the defendant. And, you know, there's a lot of men on that jury. And normally you see the females of the jury that are just so interactive and sitting at the edge of their seat. In this trial, it's the men that are doing it. It's the men that turn and look at the defendant and watch him, watch his movements during the trial. It's very different from what we usually see.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Gene. That, from my experience as well with the jurors, it's usually a little more animated from some of the female jurors we see, but not the case about our jury tonight. I wonder who's going to be more animated.
Oh, I think all of them are going to be animated. I look at them right now. They're ready to go. But you know what, Vinny? I wonder what these jurors will think if Ada takes the stand. Remember, this girl was only 6 years old when she found her mother. And the defense, they don't want her on the stand, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. And here's why.
The false memories were planted, and it was Alexis doing the questioning. Investigators are saying, ask her this, ask her that. That's highly improper.
See, they think that Ada's going to testify to false memories, that maybe her sister Alexis, who now has custody of her, has tried to plant memories about what happened. So they wonder, how do we cross-examine her? So Alexis, investigators, they will be on the stand tomorrow, and Ada takes the stand if she's allowed to testify. And here's what she might testify about. About 3 years, a little over 3 years after her mother died, she drew this drawing for investigators. Look at what she says. Here was her head out of the water. Up next, her hair was going into the drain. And then all the water was red in that tub, and her eyes were open. A little girl sees that, and that could change the nature of this case, ladies and gentlemen. So our bold question, was Ada part of the doctor's murder plot? If you believe that she was, at the end of all the evidence, you vote yes. If not, you vote no. Do you understand? And our Juror 13 can weigh in as well. You at home, just vote on either Twitter, at HLN After Dark, on HLNTV.com, or on our Facebook page. But, Vinny, if Ada testifies, she could be the biggest witness in this trial.
Absolutely. And think about how powerful it is, because it's his youngest daughter testifying against Dad. So let's talk about that with our experts, but let's begin with just one word. One word to describe Ada's testimony. Lonnie Coombs.
Exposing.
Carrie Hackett, one word.
Pivotal.
Philip Snyder.
Tainted.
Daryl Cohn, one word.
Influenced.
Gene Casares, out in Provo, one word to describe Ada's testimony.
Critical.
Linda Kenny Bodden.
Adamant. Adamant.
Ryan Smith, one word to describe little Ada's testimony.
Necessary.
All right, Ryan, let's get one word from one juror. An animated one. Number 6, please.
Number 6. Jacqueline, what do you think? One word.
Pure.
Pure. Interesting. Pure.
Pure. Her heart is pure. She has absolutely no motivation to lie.
Hold on to that thought, because you know what? We're going to get into exactly what Ada saw in that bathroom.
Proving guilty or not guilty. We go inside our recreation of the bathtub death scene. Our model of Dr. McNeil's bathroom, complete with the garden tub, much like the replica being used in court, similar to the one his beauty queen wife was found in. And it's built right next to our studios, bringing the evidence to life for our studio jury and you at home on HLN After Dark.
Dr. Martin McNeil's beauty queen wife found dead in the bathtub by their 6-year-old daughter. Her description of her mom in the tub much different than her dad's. Which one will the jury believe at his murder trial?
There was a knock on my front door, and I could tell it was a kid's knock because we get a lot of kid knocks, but we were in the front room, so I went to the front door, and it was Ada, and she just said, "My dad needs some help."
Imagine a 6-year-old girl finding her mother dead in a bathtub. But our bold question tonight, was Ada part of Dr. McNeil's murder plot? Vinny Politan's over at the HLNTV.com evidence room.
Thanks, Ryan. We've got the After Dark prosecution on this side. We've got the After Dark defense on the other side. And we're talking about little Ada and her testimony. She testified at the preliminary hearing. Let's take another listen to what she had to say.
Well, I got home from school and I went to go look for my mom, and I went into her room in the bathroom and I found her.
Do you remember what she looked like when she was in the bathtub? Was she sitting down or lying down? Or
She was lying down.
did she have a top on?
Yeah.
Okay, what about bottoms?
Yes.
Do you remember seeing her eyes?
Yeah.
Or you saw your mom in the tub?
Went to go get my dad.
You said you pulled him along?
Yeah.
And where did you pull him to?
Bathroom.
Do you remember what happened next?
He just said, call 911.
Did you immediately run out?
Yeah, to go and get the phone.
And when you came back in to the bathroom, what was your dad doing?
Trying to pull my mom out. He told me to call 911.
Did you call 911?
I didn't know how to dial it.
Okay. Did he ask you to do anything else?
After that, he told me to go get the neighbors or someone to help.
Okay. Did you leave the house?
Yes.
Okay. Did your father leave the house?
No.
Yeah, I think it's no accident that Ada is the one who finds her mom.
I don't either. I think that this is all part of Dr. McNeil's plan. It's heartbreaking, but he sends his 6-year-old child up to the bathroom knowing that his wife is there, that she is going to see his wife there, her mother, her caretaker, dead in the bathtub.
Even prosecutors someday need to have a heart. He walked in, his child was there. She went to get Daddy. Daddy probably figures Mom is in the bathtub. Ada drags Daddy there. And what does he find? The first thing he did is what any father would do. Get my daughter away from the scene, go get me some help. And that's what he did.
And I agree. And here's the problem, and juror number 6 made a good point. What is her motivation to lie? Here's the issue. In her mind, she's not lying, but her story has been molded by her sister, Alexis. It's been comported to how they want the version to seem how this incident occurred.
You know what, Philip, let me jump in on that, because if it's been molded, then she's not reliable. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, should Ada testify, yes or no? Yes. Raise your paddles. You got the paddles, use them. A bunch of yeses, a few no's, 2 no's actually. So a couple jurors thinking maybe they're on Philip's side, but everybody else, Vinny, she should testify. Yeah. It's reliable enough.
And the defense trying to keep her out. She's a fact witness. Why do you want to keep her out? She's 12 years old now. You can cross-examine her on everything.
Because you can't cross-examine a 6-year-old child.
She's 12 now.
Memory, but she's now 12, and she remembers what she saw, and she remembers how she's been influenced unknowingly by Ada.
Excuse me, that is
by
burned,
Alexis.
Etched in her memory forever. Her mother dead in the bathtub, eyes open.
That she really believes she's telling the truth at this point, and it's impossible to get her to change her mind, because she really believes it's the truth, because that's what she's been told, and that's what she's been hammered in by her sisters.
That's what she saw.
Do you remember brainwashing from the communists? Nothing more, nothing less.
All right, hold that thought. When we come back, we'll take a look at more evidence, and don't forget, you can see all of our evidence on HLNTV.com/AfterDark.
So here's Ada's rapture. Ada is a hero through the trauma of it all. Her truth will prevail. Mom didn't drown from a fall.
The judge will hold a hearing tomorrow morning. The issue is, should Ada be allowed to testify? The issue is her competence. Her competence in regard to her memory. Is her memory tainted? Does she believe it's her memory, but it's not actually her memory? According to legal documents, Ada was not questioned until 2008 by the Utah equivalent of Child Protective Services. So what happened between 2007 and 2008? Was she not questioned at all, or was she? And that's where the defense is coming from.
The morning Michelle McNeil died in the bathtub, her husband, Dr. McNeil, called their daughter Alexis. Alexis dropped everything to rush back to Utah, screaming, quote, "He killed her."
So you've been living with Alexis for 5 years?
Yeah.
Okay, has she ever told you that she thought that your dad killed your mom?
Objection.
That I'm trying to show that she was poisoned by Alexis and...
Well, she hasn't been poisoned by anybody. I think that's not a proper word. It's not a proper verb here. Do you have another theory? You're trying to say she was influenced, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
The defense clearly thinks that young Ada's testimony influenced by her older sister, Alexis, and that's going to be a point of contention as to whether or not Ada is permitted or allowed to testify in front of the jury. She will be at the courthouse tomorrow. Now, the bold question tonight involves young Ada. Was Ada part of Dr. McNeil's murder plot? We'll get a verdict by the end of the program here from our in-studio jury. But I want everyone to hear what Alexis had to say about this, because she testified at the preliminary hearing and was asked about whether or not she had discussions about what happened to Mom with her young sister, Ada.
Let's talk about Ada. Have you ever had any conversations with Ada about the day that your mom died?
Yes.
Okay, when did you have that conversation?
I don't recall any specific conversations with her.
And why is it that you wanted custody of the children?
I believed my father to have murdered my mother, and then after her murder, he sexually assaulted me twice, and I was concerned with the girls being there and with Gypsy being in the house, who was his mistress.
Some powerful words from Alexis. She also scheduled to be at the courthouse tomorrow, may testify. Lonnie, do you trust a young girl's testimony?
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, everyone who's jumping on the bandwagon and saying that Alexis tainted the testimony, remember this. Alexis didn't know enough to feed her any information. Alexis was never at the crime scene. She doesn't know what went on in that bathroom. But what Ada does say was corroborated by the 3 adult neighbors who all came and said the same thing about what they saw in that bathtub. And the Leviticus said the same thing. So what Ada said...
The science, the other witnesses. I've got an expert for our jury tonight, Darryl. 1 second. I'm going to bring in an expert, Dr. Judy Ho, who's a psychiatrist. Doctor... let's talk about children testifying, children's recollection of what happened. She was 6 years old when she came upon that scene in the bathroom. She's now 12. Should we trust her testimony? Should we trust her memory?
Well, children's testimonies are a tricky thing because children are very easily influenced by adults and what adults tell them. And so there's a lot of research about this that oftentimes, if adults are telling children things that are kind of, worded in very closed-ended types of phrases, that children will take that and start to take that as their own answer and acquiesce. And the problem with memories is the fact that when you make a memory, even when you're rehearsing possibly a fake memory or just something that somebody else told you, it becomes like a real memory in your brain. It gets stored in the same exact memory centers, and the more you rehearse it, the more you believe it, which is why sometimes liars do end up believing their own lies, and body language experts have a problem telling that apart.
All right, thanks, Doctor. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the jury, Nancy Grace is going to address you in a moment, and then we'll take you out to our recreated death scene. Next.
Okay, talking about influence, this is a case in New Jersey where Vinny and I are from, where a judge said to a child witness, you can have an ice cream cone when you finish testifying, and guess what? Conviction thrown out. So if an ice cream cone could be influential, what is a sister and a dead mother do to a child?
5 people saw Michelle McNeil in her bathtub the day she died. 4 say she was lying in the tub and her face was not in the water. The 5th, Dr. Martin McNeil says his wife was draped over the side of the tub with her head down, submerged in the water. Who will the jury believe?
I think your question is, was then 6-year-old Ada part of Dr. Martin McNeil's plan to murder his wife, Michelle? Oh, well, of course she was. This whole thing was timed to occur during the health fair where Dr. McNeil showed up uncharacteristically donning a crisp white lab coat so everyone would remember him amidst everyone else, having his picture taken, all of his odd behavior that morning. His wife was set to pick up Ada at school. That didn't happen. He told everyone that Michelle was sick and couldn't go. He sent Ada in to find her mother dead, floating dead in the family tub, eyes staring to the ceiling. A picture, a vision that that child, now 12, will never forget, simply so he would not be the one to find the dead body. That's what it was all about. And now Ada is set to come into that courtroom and testify for the state in their prosecution of her father. She was used.
Our bold question, was Ada part of Dr. McNeil's murder plot? We'll have a verdict by the end of the program tonight. And Ada's story, so important, so crucial for prosecutors. Earlier today, we broke it down back at our recreated death scene. All right, so Ada comes into the room and she says, this is pretty much what she described finding, Mike, because there's the sketch that she made.
Right, exactly. I mean, you compare that with the position of her body there, Vinny, and also with the testimony from the ER doc today and the ER nurse talking about the postmortem lividity, goes right in line with Ada's story.
And you observed some lividity on Michelle?
Yes, I did.
And where again was that?
That was on her back and buttocks.
And what does that indicate to you?
She would have to be face up, because the way lividity develops, because it's in a dependent position, she would have had to be face up for the lividity to be on her back and buttock.
The way that Dr. McNeil described finding Michelle McNeil was either, head first in the tub with her feet sticking out, or another witness said that he described her as slumped over into the tub. Both of these completely inconsistent with this, and we know the first one to see Michelle McNeil in the home at that moment is Ada.
Exactly. These pictures, no way, no how. I'm telling you, and you look at this and all the testimony, it just doesn't add up. His story, not at all. Now, I think, though, he sent Ada in to find his mom. Did he maybe think that she wouldn't give a true and accurate story because she was so little at the time? I think maybe that was all part of his plot.
Well, he assumes he's putting out this image. I am the doctor. I know what's going on. No one's going to listen to a 6-year-old. Who's going to trust her? And yet she also said something very telling. When she went to get help from Dad, Dad took his time coming back. She had to drag him back. Why, Dad? Mom's in trouble. I'm sure he never thought that she would be able to say that about him.
You've got medical examiners saying accident, natural causes. Do you think there's any way to naturally fall into the tub this way, fully clothed? I've been trying to figure that out since the beginning.
No, not at all. There's no way. Now he tried to say this could be an accident.
This I can understand as an accident.
That's what would end up. But the lividity doesn't fit that. Like Mike said, the lividity is underneath the body, the back and the buttocks. You've got to be down with your face up for that. There's no way you're going to have lividity in the back and the buttocks in those positions.
And you had to be in this position for some time to get postmortem lividity. Again, it's post-mortem, Vinny.
How trustworthy is the testimony? She's 12 now.
Yeah.
She was 6. She drew this picture back in 2011. How trustworthy is that testimony?
Out of the mouth of babes, Vinny. She is telling the truth. This is her mother, the most important person in her life, probably the most traumatic day of her life. She remembers what happened, and she told the truth.
And etched in her mind.
Ada's account seems pretty consistent with the neighbor's account. Welcome. We're here at our recreated death scene. We've got our jury out here, folks. We also have the After Dark prosecution, the After Dark defense, and I guess I have to give the defense a little time to respond to what we just saw.
Well,
go ahead.
Thank you very much.
The floor is yours.
Memories are very interesting things. They remember certain things, and when you're 6 years of age, you're not going to lie, but when you're living with your sister, Alexis, who hates her father for 4 years before your first statement is taken, you're not lying, but you're not remembering it the way it actually took place.
Look at the date on that statement from Ada, and that's where the prosecution is basing their entire theory on how she was laying. January 25th, 2011, that's years after the date where she allegedly saw her mother in this position. And that's after she's been tainted by her sister, who's comported the story to comply with the story.
Wait, we'll have time to respond. We want to get some questions from the jury. And I want them to answer another question. How does someone accidentally fall into a tub this way? How does that happen?
Okay, let me read you something I just heard earlier from the case. It was Ada being interviewed, and she said, the question was, did you go to get help? And she didn't say yes. She said, after he told me to, meaning her father. That's very important because she just didn't respond to the interview's question by acknowledging it and adopting it. She put in her 2 cents worth, and that's going to be extremely important that her memory is good.
Well, I got home from school and I went to go look for my mom, and I went into her room in the bathroom.
Do you remember what she looked like when she was in the bathtub? Was she sitting down or lying down? Or?
She was lying down.
How much water was in the tub?
About, not covering her face, so about, right here by her ear.
Did she have a top on?
Yeah.
Okay, what about bottoms?
Yes.
Do you remember seeing her eyes?
Yeah. They were open.
Little Ada walked through a door just like that and saw her mother in that tub. We are out here at our recreated death scene. And again, the bold question, was Ada part of the doctor's murder plot? Vinny, it's a tough question. Team yes, team no, but it's time for the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you have a lot of questions. Let's get right into it. What are you thinking?
According to Ada's drawing, it states that her hair was going down the drain. Why didn't she mention that the water also was receding?
Interesting if that hair is going down the drain. What do you think, Team Yes?
I think that hair can be going toward the drain, kind of back into the tub without the water receding.
Yeah, it's really going down.
And don't forget, Dr.
So
McNeil,
not down.
And by the way, Superman is my father.
Prosecution / hair expert.
Well, do you have long hair? I
You
know
do,
when I take a bath, if I'm laying down, my hair.
If the water is there, if her memory happens to be accurate, which it is not, if the water is there, it cannot possibly be going down the drain at the same time the water is
Do you believe
alive.
Dr. McNeil? Because he said he pulled the drain and he let the water out. That's what he told the 911 operator. Okay.
I do. I think it's a logical
All right, let's get to
explanation.
Carlos over here because he says some things make sense and some things don't. What do you mean?
Okay, so Ada said that there was blood. So if they drained the tub, why was there no blood remnants left in the tub? And also, how is Ada 6 years old and don't know how to dial 911? That is something that's at least 5 or 4 years old that kids should know. And by her being 6, that is no excuse to not being able to dial 911, where telephone numbers are clear. You can press the button.
It seems to make sense. Lonnie, what do you think?
Well, we do actually have some crime pictures that show some blood. Now, by the time the officers got there, the water had been drained out by Dr. McNeil, and she described the water as bloody, as red, so it would be gone. But there was still blood in the bathroom. There was some blood on the floor here, and there was some blood on the bathroom floor, too. And these are shown in the crime scene photographs that the investigator did take.
Look. Okay, wait. Hold it. I want to get to a couple more jurors.
Just from that, showing me that, it looks like he pulled her out and repositioned her. And those are the drops of blood that got on the floor after he did it.
Darryl, what do you think?
He didn't get
How many times has anyone gone to a tub, they've taken a bubble bath, and when you let the water out, all of the bubbles may be gone? No, most of them are gone. If you even put any red dye number X, whatever it is, there's going to be some residual in the tub. That's the way it works. It is that way. By the way, did you notice the irony with Ada, ADA, Assistant District Attorney?
Oh, my gosh. All right. Hey, wait, before we get any further, any of the jurors want to come over here and show something? Come on, because you got up earlier, Jackie, and you were saying, wait a second.
Okay, y'all.
All right, so what sticks with you about this scene?
How is she fully dressed, face up, in that tub like that? I don't understand that. How did she get there? How did she get there?
Go ahead, Phil.
Let's go. Let's look at the neighbor's account right here. White top, no bottoms. Another neighbor said different color top with bottoms. Another neighbor said, different color top with bottoms. Ada is saying, full jumpsuit. And the prosecution is relying upon Ada's story 3 years later.
But that's because
to make this diagram and to fashion their entire case.
Remember, Dr. McNeil sent Ada away. He was alone with the body when the pants came off by the time the neighbors came.
So he decided to change her clothes in those 2 minutes that we couldn't even look at. Oh, come on.
Fully dressed.
Oh, come on. Now, even prosecutors have to be logical.
She said yes, no, what are you saying?
I mean, Ada was the first one who saw her. Obviously, she's going to say something different than everybody else, especially if he staged the scene. My goodness.
Okay. Look, the jury has spoken, but, Vinny, you have one more thing to show.
That's right, a mystery reveal. Next.
Well, the defense can't do anything with the fact that the mother was dressed. But what they can do is the fact that Ada describes the water as being brown like a lake in her testimony. And what could that mean? That the mother was throwing up, she was regurgitating because she was having a drug overdose and having problems as a result of it. So you have to use what you have, and that's the only one of the things that they may have.
What's inside that mystery box? It's our smoking gun. What could be tonight's game changer? And you're about to see the big reveal.
I love Jesus in my heart, and he loves me in his heart. I love the flowers, and I love always the flowers too. I love my family, and I want to stay with them every day.
Before our jury renders its verdict on our bold question tonight, was Ada part of Dr. McNeil's murder plot? It's time to take a look at what's inside my mystery box this evening. You ready? Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. How cute. It's a world's greatest grandmom mug. So what does this mug have to do with little Ada? We'll take a listen to what Ada's sister testified to at the preliminary hearing.
Ada is an adopted daughter of your mother and father.
That's correct.
Okay, she's really Vanessa's daughter, correct?
That is correct.
So the McNeil's daughter, Ada, was actually their biological granddaughter. She's the biological daughter of their daughter, Vanessa, who has allegedly struggled with some addiction issues through the years. Remember, you can see all my mystery reveals on HLNTV.com/AfterDark. Ryan?
Interesting. So After Dark defense, what do you think? Does that complicate things?
I think, if anything, it shows that the McNeils, Dr. McNeil, was doing a good thing, adopting his own granddaughter to raise her as his and his wife's own. So, no, I don't think it complicates it. I think it makes it better.
So it makes him look better.
Well, both of these parents adopted 4 other children from other countries, too, so we know that they were very loving parents, whether it was her influence, his influence, or both of them.
But if he would do that and they would do all of that, why would he then plan this? What do you think, Harry?
I have one word for that.
What?
Gypsy.
That takes it all away. But I tell you, what's going on in this family, I wonder, jury's not going to find out too much about it, but still, it does make things a little bit different.
Makes it different, but not necessarily complicated.
All right, all right. Well, our ladies and gentlemen of the jury tonight have a big, bold question. Was Ada part of the doctor's murder plan? So, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen all the evidence. It's time to start deliberations.
You know, we have an artist here in New York called Banksy, New York, a British artist. And like an artist, you know, Ava drew a picture. So if you take that picture on one hand, combine it with her pigtails, what do I see? I see handcuffs for Dr. McNeil.
Morning Express with Robin Meade, HLN, tomorrow morning starting at 6 Eastern.
He had said that he had found Michelle in the bathtub or in the bathroom. There was blood everywhere. He had described that he had just picked up Ada from school, and Ada went into the bathroom and then was shocked, and then Martin came in and then saw what happened and told Ada to get out and get help.
Our jury deliberating on a bold question: was Ada part of Dr. McNeil's murder plot? While they're deliberating, big day again today in court. Let's go around the horn and get our expert opinions. Who had a better day today, prosecution or defense? Lonnie?
Close call, but I'm going with the defense.
All right, Carrie?
I agree it was a squeaker, but I'm going with the prosecution.
Prosecution. Philip?
Clearly the defense.
Defense. Darrell?
No brainer, the defense.
All right. Linda Kenny Bond, prosecution or defense? Better day today.
Just like my Boston Red Sox, Boston Strong Red Sox, prosecution.
Prosecution. Ryan, prosecution or defense?
I give it prosecution.
That means it's 3-3. I have the tiebreaker again tonight.
We know what you are.
And Damien's girlfriend, the son's girlfriend, testified powerful, talking about the cleanup of the scene. Less than an hour after she's pronounced dead, I'm going prosecution. Prosecution wins 4-3.
Come on, now look.
That's what got
Even these witnesses, the neighbors, who are not under pressure, can't even get the amount of the color of the clothing of what clothing Michelle had on correctly, and you are giving credibility to what Ada
Well,
is
number
going to
one,
testify
he's there
to
by
the
himself with Michelle, able to manipulate the scene and stage it.
Yeah, but here's the most important thing, that today we actually had scientific, reasonable reasons for what the doctor did there at the crime scene as far as the CPR. The most important thing, if you think somebody drowned, give him air in the airway, which is what he was doing.
3 MDs that say no homicide?
That ER doctor said that his way of doing the CPR was valid, including the pounding on the chest. That was a huge win for the defense.
Flush all that medication, or instruct Eileen to flush all of that medication down the toilet, and why instruct another doctor to perform CPR on his wife when he already knew she was
Outside
dead?
possibility, she may still be alive. We've all heard of miracles. If it can happen, it will.
But
And
flushing
sometimes
the
it's
pills?
crazy.
He had all the pills documented first in the log and made sure that it was all recorded for whoever needed to know about it.
$10,000. All right.
I'll take it, baby.
Let's see if the jury's money. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the bold question: was Ada part of the doctor's murder plot? Let's go one by one with your verdict. Juror number 1, yes. Juror number 2, no. Juror number 3, yes. Juror number 4, yes. Juror number 5, no. Juror number 6, yes. Juror number 7, yes. Juror number 8, yes. Juror number 9, yes. Juror number 10, yes. Juror number 11, yes. And juror number 12, no. Interesting verdict today, Vinny.
Yeah, let's take a look at what folks are doing online, reaching us on Facebook and on Twitter and HLNTV.com. 13th juror, that's who you are. 61% said yes, 39% said no, so even closer than our vote here.
Okay, let's get some comments. I want to see what everybody's thinking. I know you were struggling with this, but eventually you think that Ada was not a part of the plot.
I do not think she was a part of the plot if there was a plot. I do think he's guilty. I'm not even sure they'll be able to prove he's guilty. I think he is, but I don't think she was part of it.
Okay, now this jury's been very vocal. This man right here has been quiet, but he was quietly deciding that she was not part of the plot.
Well, to say yes assumes that he's guilty. And so I haven't seen all of the evidence. I can't yet conclude that he's guilty. But the question that I have is, if you thought your father was capable of murder, would you entrust your daughter with his care?
Interesting. See, he was quiet, but he came through with a big statement at the end. Okay, what do you think, Mr. Professor over here?
Well, it's obvious that a doctor is a coward, and cowards will use their daughter as a 6-year-old. So.
All right, so that's the thought. Now, you were struggling with it too.
Yeah, but you know what? Something's just fishy about this whole story. And to do that to that little child and to have that child involved is just sickening. Just sickening to me.
All right. Tom?
You know, he probably involved her, but didn't expect her to remember as much detail as seen if he did it, or if he really didn't know, she would have went in anyway and noticed her first, because she was kind of anticipating to spend that day with her mom.
But he thought she wasn't going to remember that level of detail.
Right, but I think the first thing a little child would do is run to her mother when she comes home from school, and I believe he knew that, and I believe he planned it.
So he was banking on that. One more, but you said no. You guys are best friends, and yet you disagree. I'm surprised. They almost never disagree, by the way.
I believe he is guilty.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that, but I really don't believe that he intentionally involved the child.
So she found it by accident. He never expected her to go in there?
I believe he might have said, go find your mom.
Okay.
But did he tell her go into the bathroom to find her?
Okay, so maybe that wasn't part of it. But still, Vinny, it's interesting, right? Because a couple jurors saying, I don't think she was part of this plot. I wonder what the jury would think when they think through the entire case.
I almost put Drew Peterson in my mystery box tonight because this reminds me of what he did with Kathleen Savio, his ex-wife. He had other people go in there and discover the body because they think that's going to play much better down the road. What a great job by our experts. Thank you so much. Great job by our in-studio jury. We'll see you next time on HLN After Dark. Don't forget to watch the trial all day on HLN.